Well, I had a bunch of comments on the video I put up on the Savage, and I'm real sluggish about replying to comments. But sometimes they aren't comments, they aren't questions, they're simply statements. So I don't feel that they require an answer, and a lot of times I just don't really want to get into these long, drawn-out debates about crap. Sometimes it's just a waste of time. Which is why I don't, I watch a lot of videos, but I really kind of seldom comment, because if you make a comment, then of course you're going to have some idiot coming back, and then you get into this drawn out argument that's pointless. So, like I say, I don't comment a lot. And I know a lot of people pride themselves on replying to every comment. Well, I don't. Unless if there's a question that's relevant. But a lot of times they're simply not relevant. But anyway, there was a lot of comments came in. And rather than sit and try to type them all out, it rained last night, so I've got a little bit of time. I figured I would try to go through some of them. I'm really not all that involved in YouTube. In fact, the only reason that video went up, that was one I did for my own reference, kind of. But after I did that unboxing, I figured, well, I should put up another video. I hadn't done a video for a while, and I had edited that one already, so I just turned that one loose. But we'll go through some of the comments. Somebody said, well, at first they didn't understand why I was operating the lever like that. Well, I do tend to do that when I'm shooting. I will line up and take a shot, and then of course I'll lift the gun up and eject it so I can catch the empty, so I don't have to chase brass around. But part of it is I like to be able to, by picking the gun up, not leaving it on the rest, it's like every shot is the first shot, so you get that little, you kind of review things, That's why I do it. But I could just leave it on the rest and just keep shooting, and then I have to pick up all the brass, and it just works better that way. I like that little break between shots. It's kind of, you just get a different perspective on it. I kind of like to do that. Because then it is like each one is the first shot. And somebody said they see the new tires are on the chick magnet. Yeah, I put them on. I didn't do a video on it. I didn't think, there isn't a lot of people who run split rims. So, I thought about it. Split rims are a whole different animal to work with. But, and they are slightly dangerous to change if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I've done this a lot because on the old road grader I had split rims. And, I fought with them all the time. And there you're dealing with a great big tire. So these aren't a big thing, but still, changing any tire is a battle, kind of. So I'll see, I do like them. They're quieter, they're smoother, and there's a good chance that, I was going to wait until fall to put the other pair on, but I think I'm probably going to do that sooner rather than later. I can just feel that they're a smoother running tire and quieter, because, regular big lug tires, they tend to howl. Okay, in the shooting of this Savage, I said 0 to what distance, hold over, well, I've only shot it at 100, but I do like to go out and stretch them out, because a lot of times, like say at 100, or I see people shooting at 50 yards. Well, what looks like a minor variation at 50 yards, when you stretch it out a little, it can really show up. So it's nice to get I would never hunt with that at that range, to me that's, like a 200 max, but really 100, 150, and that's what most of my hunting up here is. That's why I have to go to the big pasture to shoot. My pasture here, I can't find a 200-yard range that isn't trees and hills and whatnot. I like to have a good, safe hill for a backstop that I'm shooting into sand, and that's the only place I can do that. But that's why right now there isn't cattle in there, so it was an excellent opportunity, and I happened to have the gun along, so I did it. But like I say, it was really more for my own reference, because a lot of times, like, I'll shoot a gun and I'll come back a month later and I got to try to remember what I was at, where I was at on that particular gun. Because that I was shooting varget in it, and I think I've got room in the case to go a little higher with the varget, so I'll do that. But and then he says favorite channel. No, I don't know if he's asking what my favorite channel is, or saying that mine is. I don't know. A lot of times these are comments can be rather obtuse. You really don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, so it's about time. Why are there no peep sights on this? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Well, this thing is, it's got the screws. It's tapped for a peep sight. It's a possibility I might put one on there, but like I say, really, I'm not a big fan of peep sights. I do have them on two other guns. Well, three. This M1A has got nothing but peep, and that's why I've been playing with scope on this, because, like I say, I'm not that big a fan of peep sights. And I rather fight with that. To me, peep sights are fine for target, but for hunting, it's not something I would use. It's common on military, yeah, but that's because you don't really need to train people on peep sights. Everybody, that's the only reason I like having a peep sight on some gun, because a lot of times if you get somebody up here who is not familiar with using regular sights, anybody can shoot reasonably well with a peep sight. So it's good to have them, but there again, like with that M1A, I wouldn't turn just anybody loose with that anyway. There's too much that can go wrong with that. It's too complex of a gun. But if you have like a regular old Winchester 94 with a peep sight on, it's kind of a handy thing to have around. Because like I say, almost anybody can pick it up and shoot reasonably well. Okay. Somebody said about, that Savage was their favorite deer rifle. Well, yeah, they are. They are a very good gun. I'm impressed with it. And if, I don't know how much hunting I'll do with it, but it is a nice gun. But I always, if I'm seriously hunting, I always go back to my 4570 Marlin. It's just the perfect all-around rifle for me. And now this is one that I have a peep sight on, but there again, it's an auxiliary kind of thing. Anytime I get over about 300 yards, then I can use the peep sight. But for regular shooting, I like them semi-buckhorns. And I know that's not a popular thing with people, but to me, peep sights are target sights. And for hunting, they're kind of useless, in my opinion. I like regular sights. I can deal with them a lot better, more flexible. Peep sights are fine if you got a specific range that you're dealing with, but I can kind of fudge it with the regular sights. But you just have to know your gun and know how to use the sights. That's where everybody always curses full buckhorns. Well, I've got full buckhorns on one of my other Marlins. I don't remember now if it's a 35 or the 30-30. But I like them. It's just a matter of knowing them. Somebody went on about 4895 and 308. Yeah, I use that 4895 in the M1A, but like I say, I'm using Varget in the Savage for now. But this is early stage in playing with that. You know, because like I say, I'm not really even locked into them 150 grain bullets. Oh yeah, somebody asked about one of Lee Enfield, and they really don't turn up that often around here. Uh, you know, I used to see them now and again, but it's, it's really not something I really had a great desire for. I mean, at the time, they were selling for around $200 to $300, but I was buying them, you know, $75 Mosin, so I got a half dozen of them. You know, that seemed like a better deal to me. But I'm really not into surplus or military rifles, so to speak. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, that's what they're really into. I'm really not. I like guns that don't cost a lot. That's where I end up with some of them. You know, even like I've got that 98 Mauser, and that's fine. But actually, I like the sights on the M48 better. But of that whole bunch, you know, of surplus rifles, that K31 Swiss and the 6.5 Swede are really, really hard to beat. They're what's really fun to take out and do like 500 yards. Those are good guns. Excellent. Not just for surplus, but just for an all-around really good gun. They're an excellent gun. But, you know, if I ever got a good deal on an Enfield, but I don't see that happening. And there again, you know, there's a lot of variations on them. I just really, I'd have to know what I was doing and, you know, to pick one up, to buy one. I don't have that much interest in them, that's all. No, my interest really is in lever guns. You know, I've got a lot of other stuff, but that's not my main interest. Yeah, let's see. I think there were some comments on the box from Brian. And some of that weird food stuff that people seem to be familiar with, but to me it's pretty much foreign stuff. But you know, we'll have to see what I can do with it. Like somebody said about them cocktails. Well, okay, we'll see. You know, but I don't eat a lot of sweet stuff, and there's a lot of that stuff that's pretty damn sweet. But we'll see. Okay, I guess that kind of ties it up. Though, you know, a lot of times the ones that I see, the comments maybe are not the same one as other people see. And you know, it's kind of funky, the whole. You know, a lot of times if somebody makes a comment, when I go to look at the comment, and it goes to something that says, "Oops, something went wrong." Well, yeah, well, that happens. And I'm still getting, you know, triple comments or triple notifications for every comment. So that's why when you see, you know, there's a lot of times I debated even when I shot that Savage, you know, if I was going to leave comments on that, because I'm busy all the time, and when I'm getting 3 notifications for every comment, and a lot of times, you know, there's really nothing in the comment, it interferes with other stuff, you know, to be constantly having to deal with comments. So I kind of tend to avoid them. You know, life is just easier. You know, it's the comments and dealing with the aftermath of them that are hard. Making videos isn't hard. You know, it's dealing with them down the road that's hard. You know, because I'll get comments from videos 4 years ago. You know, well, then I have to go back and watch the video to see what the hell the guy's talking about. And then a lot of times comments come in that don't make any sense to me, and then I look and, well, oh yeah, they weren't even directed to me, they were directed to somebody else who had made a comment, or, you know, sometimes it gets in these long conversations, and they go on and on. But that's why, you know, a lot of times I'll leave no comments unless I think that there's a purpose to them. I realize that comments are important, But it does get to the point of, do I do comments or just don't do a video? You know, like a lot of times it's just easier not to do the video. So for me, it's easier not to leave the comments open. I just don't like dealing with them. I'm not that sociable a person, honestly. You know, I mean, a lot of people, they like to chit chat, and I'm really not. Okay, the other thing, I kept debating if I should even talk about this, but our law is changing in about a month about concealed carry. We're going to that constitutional carry, and it was pretty good anyway. Our laws aren't that stringent. We really don't have problems. But they're going to that constitutional carry. And I'm of two minds about that. You know, I always have a gun normally on me or near to me, carrying the gun right now. And that's the one thing I had a problem with our laws the way they were. You know, I could have it in a vehicle, but I would have to have it unloaded, the whole cylinder unloaded. So that made it awkward to carry. But you could carry it as long as it was in plain sight. Well, now with this new constitutional carry, I can go back to bringing in the gun with me, but the law stipulates now that if you are stopped, you have to immediately tell the officer that you have a gun. Well, you know, to me that's really, you know, unless the fact that there's a gun in the vehicle is relevant, I don't really like that idea. Particularly, there was a case in Minnesota that just got settled where, and the video's on YouTube, where a cop in Minnesota stopped somebody, and that went very badly for no reason. I mean, the cop stopped the guy in the first place because one of his brake lights was burnt out. And everything was going smoothly. You know, it was a guy and his girlfriend and a kid in the back seat. Until the guy said, "Sir, I have a gun in the car," you know, on him. And then the cop kind of babbled a little bit, and then all hell broke loose. You know, the cop just freaked out. It was really handled extremely badly, and that's worrisome. But you know, there was some rioting in Minneapolis or something. They shut down some highway because the cop was found innocent of any wrongdoing. And if you watch that video, like I said, it was really handled very, very badly. You know, people shouldn't get killed over a damn brake light. You know, that should have been a smooth operation, but it was just, and there again, you know, people say, well, it's a training thing. The guy wasn't trained. I think really the problem was a basic attitude problem that, you know, because the cop really just plain freaked out. I mean, he was right next to the guy, 3 feet away. But he shot him 7 times because he thought the guy was, you know, as soon as the guy said, "I have a gun," the cop just, any movement that man made after that, the cop interpreted as he was going for the gun. You know, because the cop didn't know where the gun was. So any movement, you know, it was a threat to that cop. That's how he interpreted it. So, you know, 2, 3 feet away, I shot 7 times, hit him 5 times. But the amazing thing is that the woman, his girlfriend, was sitting next to him, that she didn't catch a bullet, or the kid in the back, because that cop was just spraying lead, you know, from like 3 feet away. And there again, you know, it's always that, you know, everybody's training to do the, you know, that 2 hands and you know, hell no. In a situation like that, that cop one-handed from the waist and just blazing away, you know. He really had no idea even how many times he shot. You just keep pulling the trigger. If you watch that video, it's a bad thing, and you think, okay, if that guy wouldn't have said, "I have a gun," he probably had to fix a ticket and that'd be the end of it. But it went badly. So you think, like I said, normally my guns are out in plain sight. I have to always be careful that they're out in plain sight. Because the whole concealed, accidentally concealed, like if a gun is sitting on a seat and you throw a jacket over the top of it, suddenly it's a concealed gun, and it wasn't the intention, it just happened to get covered with something. You'll always feel when they're in the gun rack, it's pretty obvious that they're there. But like I say, I like to carry them in the gun, and then, whoop, that's concealed unless it's on the outside of my jacket. But, like I say, that'll change in about a month. We'll be that constitutional carry. But that whole stipulation that you have to inform the officer that you have a gun. And normally, it would maybe be better if the cop would, the first thing he'd come up and he'd say, do you have a gun? Get this established right away, and the cop was in the mentality of that, but because this guy, as soon as he heard the words, I have a gun, he kind of, yeah, he freaked out is what he did. He just plain freaked out. That was just bad all the way around, and I hope to God that guy's not on the street yet, because he was not mentally equipped to handle that kind of a thing. So everything went cool up until that point. That triggered it right there. So I don't know. But that does worry me a little, though our cops aren't that jumpy here and there. Again, I think, the rioting was all about because it was, the guy that got shot was black. And I can see where that might have been a factor. Because this white cop, in his mind, this must have been his ultimate nightmare, a black guy with a gun. Though, in Minnesota is pretty racially diverse. Here, not so much. But the idea that he would just freak out that easy, you got to be a little cooler about that. That's just bad. And I don't know, like they say, training, but I don't think you can get any amount of training is going to get somebody with that frame of mind, to take it cool. But like I say, it almost sooner that they had to say, that the cop would ask you, because then he's thinking, is there a gun here? And then you can say yes or no, and the deal is, it's handled a little better. But because of just the fact that the guy said, I have a gun, he said, sir, I have a gun. Everybody was polite. There was nothing. The guy was doing his best, and the cop was being respectful. Everything was cool up until that point. And then, like I said, the cop just lost it. Even the woman that was in the car next to the guy, here this guy is dying because they put 5 bullets in him. And even she handled it really cool. And the kid in the back seat was flipping out. But it just, you should watch the video, and it makes you think. Because that whole constitutional carry thing, yeah, I'm for it, but it's that little aspect of it worries me. It all depends on the cop, but man, they got to screen them guys better, because that isn't a problem with training. That's a problem with screening. That man should not have been on the street. But he was found, not guilty of any wrongdoing. Though when you watch that video, you think, my God, that's pretty plain. And I don't know how a jury could watch that video and not think that there was a problem here. It worries me. So we'll see how it shakes out. Like I say, North Dakota, not so much. We don't have problems like that come up, but things change. But I really think that's a screening problem. I really don't think that guy should have been on the street. He just wasn't mentally equipped to handle that. There was a second cop, and he come around the other side of the car. Everything was cool. getting his identification and stuff. And when that other one flipped out and started shooting, that other one skedaddled out of there pretty damn fast. And I'm sure he was thinking, what the hell? You know, because he had a plain view of the guy from his side of the car. You know, just, but the video is on there. You know, even the county that it happened in, they put the video up without comments, but it's been up on other places, and there's been comments, and it goes both ways. I mean, people think, well, people are crazy. You know, that's comments can be nuts on that. You know, because there were some comments that, whoop, you got rid of one more, you know, troublesome black guy. You know, and I couldn't see any troublesome thing about that. The only thing that worried me was the cop, but you know, I know cops, and I even have one that's in the family that's in law enforcement. And you know, what I hate, I just think they really have to screen these people better. They you know, I always think of the, well, it worried me. So we'll maybe see, because now, you know, with that constitutional carry, it's anybody who's a resident, has been a resident for a year and over the age of 18, you can carry a concealed weapon. It's just that if you get stopped, you have to inform the cop, and that's when things get tricky. I don't worry about, you know, I carry a gun not for self-defense kind of thing. It's more of a animal problem. You know, things come up. It's a tool. You know, I carry my Swiss Army knife, I carry a gun. They're both tools. I think the odds of getting shot by somebody else are pretty slim. You know, the odds of getting shot by a cop are a little better, and that's unfortunate. But we'll see how it shakes down in the long run. But that video was pretty disturbing. And like I say, they settled with the family.